Good morning. I'm going to introduce Helen.
Hello.
Hey Helen. Helen's from Dot & Cross, and Helen teaches all our dressmaking courses here at Stitches and Cream. Helen, do you want to tell us a little bit about your sort of background in dressmaking?
Yeah, so I studied fashion design at university, but I specialised in pattern cutting. That was sort of always my the favourite part of the process for me. So I went on and did a pattern cutting extra course at St Martin's, which if you know about that uni, that's basically where all the amazing designers go. So it was just amazing to sort of, I don't know, get into that world a little bit. Yeah, so then I became a pattern cutter. So I've worked at quite a few places in London. Probably the ones people will have heard of would be Victoria Beckham and Vivienne Westwood. I did an internship there. But I've also worked for Roxanda and Mary Catronzu, so quite a few sort of London Fashion Week designers. And then probably a couple of years ago now, I moved down to Cornwall. Yay! And that's when I met Jane and Sandra.
She walked past the old shop, didn't you, and thought, oh!
It was literally, I think it must have been literally the first or second week I moved down here.
And we were literally just about
and you were just opening as well. And
like
it just
serendipity.
Yeah, it couldn't have been more perfect. The timing was impeccable. So I started teaching classes here, and the rest is history.
The rest is history. Helen's sort of underselling herself a little bit here as well, because she is an amazing pattern cutter. You've got some amazing designs that you've created, haven't you, in terms of for shows. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the pressure of working for a designer coming up to a show? Yeah,
well, I think if you're sort of in that industry, you really thrive on it, and that's, you know, your favourite few weeks of the year is the lead up to Fashion Week, because I think often a lot of designers, you know, they have months to complete a collection, but it all comes together right at the last minute. So those last few weeks, it's, you know, it's long hours, but it's so exciting. You know, everything's, all of the toiles that you've done leading up to it are actually being made in the real fabric. And there's been some places that I've worked where the designs have been completely covered in embroidery, and you don't get the embroidery back from the factory. Maybe you get it back a week before the show, so you actually haven't seen it up until that point. And you know how beautiful it is. So yeah, a lot of the garments do get made right near the end. So
real pressure then.
Wow. Yeah, but it's fun.
Exciting. Working really long hours by the sound of it.
Yeah, there's been a few late nights, that's for sure.
So working here in Cornwall is a little bit different to that.
Yeah.
So you've had a few changes in your life recently as well, haven't you? As well as moving from London to Cornwall.
We had a baby.
You had a baby in the middle of lockdown, or well, not in the middle of lockdown, but in the middle of COVID.
July last year, so he's just turned 1.
Oh.
And
he's a darling.
He is. He's gorgeous.
He's completely turned Helen and Will's life upside down.
Yeah, along with the doggy that we got as well a few years ago, little Penny. Yeah, things are quite different now. And yeah, it's sort of working out what I do now. And actually the really great thing is that I do still work for some of the fashion houses in London, and I guess everyone that's been working from home, you know, I have been able to work remotely on the patterns, so I am still working for some of the London Fashion Week designers whilst living in Cornwall, which
it's amazing, really,
yeah,
isn't it?
I sort of never thought, I never could have thought that I would have that opportunity, as well as living the incredible lifestyle down here, being able to do that creative work with them as well alongside it. So that's been a really, didn't think it could happen.
And so pleased it has.
Yeah, absolutely.
On your Instagram recently, you posted a picture of this massive machine the carding machine or something.
Yeah, so at home, I work from home, and I've got sort of quite a good working from home or remote working setup. So I've got I work on a CAD pattern cutting program, and it's called Gerber. But to use that, I've also got a humongous plotter, which I can sort of send the patterns to, and it prints them out and cuts them out in the in the correct scale. And I've also got this huge digitizer as well. So there are two ways of pattern cutting using Gerber. One of the ways is that you literally draw the patterns on the computer, not from scratch. You might use a block sort of as a base, but you're drawing them on the computer. And then the other way is if you're doing a more sort of draped style, you might drape it on the mannequin and then translate that onto paper, and then you can digitize it in. So I sort of use this puck thingy.
She lost me at ages ago.
Lost me at digitizing, yeah. But yeah, so I can translate something that's on paper onto the computer and then sort of clean it up on the computer. So there's two ways of working.
Amazing.
And it's nice to have both options, because I think probably quite a few pattern cutters wouldn't necessarily have that set up at home, because you'd normally be in-house at a studio, so they would have that equipment and you wouldn't. So
I hope your floors are reinforced.
Yeah, do you know, I was thinking that the other day, because it is heavy.
It looked heavy when I saw it.
And our house is old, so yeah. It is a bit creaky.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the workshops that you do for us?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, we were discussing it the other day that quite a lot of the most popular ones have been the pattern cutting ones, haven't they?
So many people just don't know how to create something that fits their own body, because we're all so different.
Absolutely. And also to modify or hack patterns as well. It's sort of having that confidence to change things up a little bit. I think fitting is
the most
tricky,
popular, and it's the most popular one. We're starting again in September, and we've got like a backlog of people wanting to pattern cut and also learning to make the perfect fit for a pair of trousers, which is
I mean, I need to remind myself of that one, because when did we start that? Sort of last February, and then
lockdown happened.
We never actually completed that course. But
it'd be interesting to see if those people that come back have completely changed.
True.
I expect some of us have.
So that the pattern cutting class, the first one we started was to create a dress block with had a sleeve, didn't it? A dress block with a sleeve. That perfectly fit. No
matter what your bust was, whether you needed full bust adjustment.
Everything. We looked at, everything on the bodice and the skirt and the sleeves. So where we started from, we didn't, we sort of started from a template. I've got them all available, all the different sizes. And then we just go from there, doing all of the adjustments that each individual person needs to make that block fit. And I think what's quite useful about starting from a block rather than drafting it themselves is that they can then apply the changes that we've made and learned to other patterns that they, other dressmaking patterns, because quite often if you have to make an adjustment on one, you probably will have to make it on most of them. That's sort of been the feedback that people have said, because a block is sort of meant for this, woman that never actually exists, the perfect size 12, the perfect size 18, the perfect size 24, that your bust, waist and hip ratio are, exactly as the pattern requires, which no one has. I'm three different sizes on my bust, waist and hip. It sort of goes, I go like that. I'm smaller on the top and bigger on the bottom. And that is so normal. Everyone has,
whereas I'm more apple shaped. I've got big boobs, no bum, and a thick waist.
And that's it. We, we all have, that's our bodies. That's the way it is. And just sort of learning what adjustments we might have to make on one pattern. Hopefully then, what I hope is that then gives the students the confidence to translate that onto other patterns. And we keep the classes small, so we only have 4 people, don't we? So that you get lots of Helen's time and experience and knowledge, intuition, and they're usually pretty good fun as well. We supply coffee, cake, chocolate, anything. You need it to keep going, because you do need quite a lot. Having done it myself with you, you do need to concentrate a lot, don't you? I mean, there's a lot to learn, isn't there? And I don't know, I think my problem is I try to pack so much in because I want everyone to go home having learnt loads, but sometimes got to rein it back. But I could talk forever about pattern cutting and fitting because I love it, and it is so interesting to me. But also I think what's so great about doing in-person classes is that everyone's seeing all the alterations that everyone else is having to make. So like you might not necessarily need that certain adjustment, but just sort of being around it, hearing the language, seeing the before and after with each person is it's just useful. It just builds everyone's knowledge, I hope. No, it's fantastic. So we have got those coming, and we will have them again next year. Need Helen to give us some dates soon as well for next year. But you also do some couple of master classes, and also we do some day sewing events, and you do some beginner. Because obviously the pattern cutting is not for the beginner sewer. No, probably not. Learn to walk before you, what is it?
Learn to run before you can walk.
That. So we have some classes aimed at complete beginners, and we really want to encourage complete beginners to start sewing. So we've got a class where we literally start from the very beginning, how to thread up a machine, and how to sew your first line of stitches, and sort of taking it from there. So different seams that you can, we learn about different seams, we learn what a dart is, gathering, how to turn a corner, so how to sort of leave your needle in, pivot the fabric round and continue sewing, and how to nicely sew a curve as well. So some really key skills, basic skills. And you go away with a workbook, don't you? You send people away with a workbook. So everyone takes home a booklet where they can staple in all of their samples that they've done in that day, and it also sort of gives you pointers on how to do each of those step by step. So hopefully people can sort of refer back to that when they're at home, and a few weeks have gone by and they think, oh god, how did Helen say to do that? Then it's all in there. And you're also going to make a bag, I think, this time, aren't you? So that they can put those skills into practice. It's always nice to go home with a project that you've completed at the end of the class. Definitely. So at the end of that one, you'll go home with a tote bag. That you've made all by yourself. And some of the other ones that we've got sewing with jersey. We have. So we're making the Cleo, is it? The Tilly and the Buttons Cleo? No, Cleo. Is Cleo the... No. Oh, Coco. Coco. They both begin with a C. Yeah, Coco. It's the Tilly and the Buttons Coco. The jersey dress. And that will be sort of more leading into autumn, winter, won't it? So it's sort of a jersey dress with sleeves that's actually really nice to wear in the winter with a thick pair of tights. Or you can make a top out of it, can't you? As a dress. But also it's useful to learn those techniques of sewing with knit fabrics, which are a little bit different, aren't they, in terms of how you sew as opposed to a sort of a woven fabric that stays where it's meant to stay. Lots of pins. Lots of pins. And don't make the mistake that I did, which was on the sample I made it in stripes.
Yeah.
And so I had to...
Don't choose stripes.
Yeah, don't choose stripes. I had to put a pin in every single stripe because I wanted them all to line up perfectly, and I wouldn't have been able to sleep that night if they hadn't. So, so yeah, perhaps don't choose a stripe if it's your first time sewing with jersey. Is the take home from that.
And you're also going to do a couple of masterclasses, I think, in zips and full bust adjustment.
And yeah, so the zip one, we learn 3 methods of inserting a zip into a project. We do an invisible zip, which I know scares everybody, but you know, with a few sort of pointers, it's actually it's all right.
Too bad.
Yeah,
not too bad.
So yeah, we do an invisible zip, we do an exposed zip, and we do...
It's like a jean zip, isn't it? A lap zip?
A lap zip, yeah, that was it. So
zip.
It's sort of got the 2 little, it's sort of covered up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And full bust adjustment sort of speaks for itself.
Yeah, so that's another sort of intermediate pattern cutting one, probably not for the faint-hearted.
No, and that's something that I have to do, I know, on patterns quite often.
Yeah, it's a really useful skill if patterns just don't seem to fit you around the bust. And it's also about learning which size to choose, because people often choose a pattern based on their biggest, either their bust or their biggest measurement. And if you choose something, you know, potentially you're choosing a pattern that's too big for your frame, you know, so it's too big at the shoulders.
I've made that mistake myself.
Just so that your bust will fit, but actually you want, you know, this needs to be correct, and then you can just make the bust bigger to fit you.
Even
properly.
Knitting patterns now are starting to having full bust adjustments, particularly the cropped ones, because if you have got a bigger bust,
because it rides up.
Yeah. So yeah, I've noticed quite a few knitting patterns are actually including a full bust adjustment.
That's great.
Which is great.
Yeah.
And I think
so
the final one that I just wanted to briefly is the knickers.
Ah, the knickers. Yeah.
We have
a lot of fun.
Storm when we had those in the other shop. We had people stopping outside the window looking and thinking, what are they making?
Because it was, yeah, gosh, that takes me back, because it was in winter, and so it was dark outside, and obviously we had all the lights on in the shop, didn't we?
Bay window, wasn't it?
Yeah, so people were looking in and we were waving on
the ones we were making.
Of course.
Yeah, the Tom Jones scenario wasn't there. But no, so this time you're going to do the lacy ones, but also jersey.
Yeah, we'll also have, just your normal trusty pair of jersey knickers.
Big pants.
Because actually it's such a useful pattern to have, because you know the pieces, they are quite small, aren't they, and you can sort of fit them in into scraps, and even if the whole piece won't fit, you know, you could piece it together if you needed.
Depends who's going to see your knickers.
No comment.
No comment, but yeah.
But yeah, it's just, I think people don't, you know, people that sew, they never, it doesn't often cross your mind that you can actually sew your own underwear. You sort of think of everything else. But actually, if you want to make your own wardrobe, why not start from the base layer up? Yeah. So,
but it's great fun as well, isn't it? It's a really fun sort of little course as well. And people that have come along before have really enjoyed it.
It is, and I think actually, you know, not many people sew with lace, not many people sew with elastic, and those sort of skills, sort of getting the tension right with the elastic and the various ways of how to apply it. It's really useful skill to know as well. It can apply to other things as well as undies. And then once you've done your knickers, I mean, we don't have a bra or bralette class, but you know, these things lead on, don't they? I have a
feeling that it's on its way. But and also any feedback that you have about things that you would like Helen to potentially teach here at the shop as well. But you know, she's great. She's great. She makes sure if you come along that you go home with something that you really understand about fit and your own body, which I think is a really great skill to have, really knowing your own body and how to fit something onto your own. Even with the sort of day dressmaking, like the jersey dress, you make sure people are really sort of comfortable with the sizing and how they measure themselves and everything, aren't you? So yeah, no, it's a great day out. So thank you, Helen. Time away from little Ollie.
Oh, he's at nursery today.
She's got some free time. But thank you for coming in and talking to us about the workshops. And
looking forward to starting them up again.
Yeah, book on our website. We're looking forward to running them again. Be lovely to see you back. And see you all soon.
Bye.
Bye.